Caucasian and being from here. Imagine if you didn't even speak English. You know, you're gonna wonder, well, gee, you know, how come I don't speak English? I can't talk to my own people. You know, it's a sad state of affairs. And you're going to get, you know, this is the lack of parenting skills. You know, it's your job and responsibility as a parent to teach your children your own language. You don't know how important that is. They just don't have a clue as to the importance and priority of something. If, you know, I don't have any children at the moment, but if I did, I'd teach them the Chinese language. It's not too late for me, but it's, shall we say, you know, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know, I should have learned the language and I didn't. Now I have to sit there and take the hard road, because the easy road was your parents put you in school and forced you to do it, and you didn't have to, you know, plan it all on yourself, do it all alone. That's the easy route. Let's see what time it is. Take a break. Okay, I'm back. Now, okay, now you're wondering, well, aren't you isn't he a little bit harsh with his own people? Not really. I could be much harsher. I mean, I seriously, I am really mellow at the moment about this subject. You're going to have to walk in my shoes to understand, and why would you want to? Because you don't want to be oblivious to what's going on around you. I'm giving you very valuable information, and you're never going to get anywhere else. These Vietnamese restaurants have no service whatsoever. If I was a restaurant evaluator, or I critique their service, they get a -5. F- from me. You know, sometimes I do find myself just going back for the food, but you know what, I'm going to make a stand. I'm never going back there for anything. You know, I've been to most of these restaurants around town, and I find that there's no, they're all alike. Anywhere I go around this area, I've been to about pretty much all the Vietnamese restaurants, about 20 of them around this area I'm in Southern California. So, specifically the San Diego area. You know, I can't, when you can't even order your food, or you can't communicate with your own people, and they have no clue as to why you don't speak the language. Well, you don't speak the language because you never taught. Simple as that. I had this an occasion to meet this African American gentleman over at a Vietnamese supermarket. He told me a story. The story he told me opened up my eyes and confirmed my suspicions that he would go in there and order the food, and he would say he would have the same problem. He couldn't communicate with the people behind the counter, and you know, he didn't even know what kind of food he was ordering. It was a food, one of these type of buffet type a food line where they keep the Chinese food in the containers under heat lamps, and they had no words in them to tell exactly what was being served. And when he would go up to and ask, well, what is this? They wouldn't understand what he was saying. I have the same problem. I'll go in there and say, well, I don't know too much about Chinese cuisine, so I like to know what this is before I order it, and they won't have a clue as to what I'm saying. They'll look at me like dumb, deaf, and stupid. And I'm Asian, so they treat me like I'm some sort of outcast. You know, there's no reason for it, no justification for their actions and their conduct other than they don't know any better, or that's just stupid, plain stupid. You know, even more stupid, they don't know any better. I mean, put words for goodness sakes on the item, so you know at least you'll know what you're ordering. You know, and then you don't have to talk. You just let the word speak for itself. You know, they can't even. They're too lazy to even do that apparently. You know, or too stupid. And he would tell me that he's getting really sick and tired of it, and he works there as a security guard. And you know, he can't communicate with the people, and he has his lunch over there in the supermarket. In the supermarket, there's a Chinese fast food place in the supermarket, and that's where he orders his food. There was another gentleman did security in front of a restaurant, and he was a prior Navy, and he's African American. He would tell me he'd have run-ins with people from Africa, and they told him he wasn't pure African because he didn't speak Swahili or any dialect of the Africa in that country, and they had the nerve to. We discussed it, and they really have a lot of nerve to come over to this country and as a tourist and give you grief. You know, they have nerve to insult him. Say he's not pure black because he doesn't speak Swahili, you know, and unfortunately, those two individuals I'm speaking of, I wanted to interview, but I've since lost contact with them, so here I am speaking for them as their voice. If I ever get a hold of them again, I will be doing some interviews with them. Now, I had a run-in with a Hispanic woman that at a college. She was using the computer in a computer lab, and she was telling me a story about how she would get her nails done, and the Vietnamese women in there would give her really mean, indifferent look when she walked in, not smiling or anything, and she just wanted her nails done. And on top of it, they didn't speak too much English, so she had a hard time communicating there too. And she would also tell me that she owned a business in Mexico, that the Hispanic people, something to the effect of that they would come in there and patronize her store, but they wouldn't speak Spanish to her. They would just speak English, and apparently the English-speaking, English and Spanish-speaking Hispanic people that would patronize her store would, I guess, look down on her because she or look down on the Hispanic-speaking people that wouldn't speak English, or actually, I'm a little unclear on that one. It was either that they looked down upon the other Spanish-speaking people that wouldn't speak English and Spanish, but just would speak Spanish, or something to that effect. It's a little vague because it's been about a year since I talked to this woman. Now, bottom line is, not understanding your own language is a big, big problem. You know, and if you think it's not a problem, you're living in a closet. Because some of us, they're not born here, or they're struggling to speak to our own people. You have no idea how much of a tragedy that really is. I don't feel pure Asian, and it doesn't really bother me, and I don't really